And let's begin with a breaking update that's coming in. Reports suggesting that there's been a submarine attack on an Iranian ship off the coast of Sri Lanka. At least 101 people missing. One person is reportedly died and 78 injured. Sri Lankan officials say an Iranian Navy ship came under distress and was sinking. 32 on board have been identified, have been found and have been hospitalized. At this point, it's unclear as to who attacked this ship. And the ship, we can confirm for you at this point, has now sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka. So, like I've been saying, in the last few days, the theatre of war expanding. In this particular case, the target, it seems, was an Iranian ship way far off. Almost close to the Sri Lankan coast is where it sunk. There's still no clarity of exactly who targeted the ship and how, but it's suspected that this could be a submarine attack on the ship. Now, the Sri Lankan authorities have said at this point that no aircraft was observed in that area during the time of distress call. The Navy, the Sri Lankan Navy, has also said we haven't observed any other ship in the area, which is why there's a suspicion that this could have been a submarine attack. Sandeep Unitan and Pranay Upadhyay are joining us on this broadcast. Sandeep, to you first, or what we're seeing right now, reports suggesting that an Iranian ship off the Sri Lankan coast has now sunk. Now, what this means is that Iranian targets across the across the world are being targeted wherever they are based. This one was off the Sri Lankan coast.
Yes, Akshita, and the warship in question, the IRIS Dena, was on its way back to Iran after having participated in the International Fleet Review organized by India in Visakhapatnam last week. The vessel is believed to have sent out a distress call. It had a crew of nearly 200 personnel on board. Several of them were there for there was a band on board. That's what we are hearing as well because of the ceremonies that were there ashore in Visakhapatnam. And this ship was sent out a distress call. Only about very few survivors have been picked up as a percentage of the crew. And there are reports to suggest that this was a submarine attack. The US has claimed that it has started targeting Iranian warships out at sea, wherever they are. They've claimed to have sunk more than 8 Iranian warships. Now, this is a corvette. A corvette is a small-sized warship. It's smaller than a frigate. The orders of size are a corvette, a frigate, and then a destroyer. So this is a corvette. It's a light warship of about 1,500 tons displacement. And if reports are true that this was sunk by a submarine, then this would be very rare. Very few submarines have sunk warships after the Second World War. There have only been 3 other instances in the last 80 years since the Second World War of submarines sinking warships. The first, of course, was the HMS Conqueror, the second one, the HMS Conqueror during the Falklands War sank the General Belgrano. The Pakistani submarine Hangor, which sank the Kukri in 1971. In fact, that was the first sinking of a warship in the Second World War. The third one is, of course, a Korean frigate, the Cheonan, in 2006, sunk by a North Korean submarine. This would possibly be only the 4th instance of its kind in the last 80 years, Akshita.
Imagine that. And, Sandeep giving us some crucial information there that this warship was actually part of an exercise that took place in Vizag, was headed back in light of what's playing out in the conflict in Iran. I'll bring in Pranay also on this broadcast to understand, Pranay, if there have been any statements that have come in from countries. The only details we have has emerged from Sri Lankan authorities who say we didn't spot any aircraft activity nearby. There were no ships nearby, which is why the assumption immediately is that in all likelihood, this was a submarine attack. Was this done by America? Have they issued any statement, Pranay?
Akshita, there is no statement from the US Central Command or the Indo-Pacific Command as yet, because this incident happened in the area of in the jurisdiction or in the area of operation of Indo-Pacific Command, but there is no statement as yet. However, if you see the latest statement put out by the White House, clearly indicates that one of the objective of U.S. operation against Iran is to decimate their navy, and they are attacking the Iranian naval assets. And in fact, CENTCOM Chief Admiral Brad Cooper mentioned in his statement that so far the U.S. forces have sunk 17 Iranian ships. And this is yet another example, but this clearly shows that if the area of conflict has expanded to Indo-Pacific region, and definitely if the U.S. Submarines are operating so close to Indian coast around Sri Lanka, then and more so if they had targeted a ship which was returning back to Iran after participating in international fleet review organized by India as a friendly nation ship, then this is clearly a serious event. And as Sandeep was also mentioning that, after Second World War, probably, one of kind of incident, sinking of a naval ship of a country by a submarine. So this has its own, serious manifestation as serious, repercussions that if these kind of incidents are taking place, then we should also have to watch out, because what we have seen, what has happened in Kuwait as well, that in friendly fire or in the failure of friend and foe identification, Kuwaiti Air Force has shot down three of the US Air Force aircrafts.
You're right in highlighting, Pranay, that the fact that this has happened off the Sri Lankan coast, very close to India, is something that the government here also will be tracking very, very closely. But the messaging, if this is in fact an attack by a submarine or an Iranian warship, is that any Iranian asset anywhere is fair game right now as far as US and Israel is concerned. Sandeep, Pranay, I'll request both of you to stay with me.